Okay, so here we've got a force problem. It's very similar to some of the other problems we did when we were doing vector resolution, but now it's just going to be with a force. So let's take a look at this. Jeff takes his daughter Paige for a wagon ride. He pulls in the wagon with a force of 150 newtons, directed at an angle of 35 degrees above the horizontal. A. What is the x component of this force? B. What is the y component of this force? Okay, so let's take a look at this problem. So let's draw a picture representing the force that we've got. So it says that this is a force of 150 newtons at an angle of 35 degrees above the horizontal. So when I start drawing this, I'm going to draw a dotted horizontal line to start because I know that I need to go at an angle of 35 degrees above this horizontal. So here's my horizontal line, and I want to go above it by 35 degrees. I'm just going to do my best to draw one that's close to that. And then label it. Put an arrow on the end of this because this is a vector, okay? And then label the side length with the magnitude of the vector, which is 150 newtons. Okay, now it says, what is the x component of this force? So what's the force in just the x direction? So I'm going to label this side as F for force in the x direction. Similarly, I'm going to finish off this right triangle and label this side of my right triangle as the force in the y direction. So this is the y component and this is my x component. And I'm going to go ahead and find these sides using trigonometry, very similar to how we did in the previous chapter. So first, maybe label your sides. So this is the angle we're looking at. F of x is the adjacent side to that angle. Fy, the force in the component in the y direction, is the opposite side. And the 150 newtons is the hypotenuse. So the first thing says, what's the x component? So I'm going to start with the x. That means I've got the adjacent. I don't want to use things I don't know when I'm solving. I've already got one unknown, so I need to use the 150. I need to use this 35-degree angle. So I see I've got adjacent and hypotenuse. So I look at my memory aid for my trig functions. So, ka, and toa. So I want adjacent and hypotenuse. Oh, nope. There we go. This is adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to start out and I'm going to say the cosine of the angle, which is 35 degrees, is equal to the adjacent side, which is the x component of the force, over the hypotenuse, which is 150. To solve this problem, I'm simply going to multiply both sides by 150. 150 cancels, and I'm left with 122.87 newtons is equal to the x component of the force. Next, let's look for the y component. Well, here's my y component, and now I actually know both of these, but I'm going to go ahead and use the one that was given to us again, and I'll use the angle again. Okay? Not that I'd have to, but I'm going to choose to use those ones because I definitely know what they are. So I'm looking for opposite and hypotenuse, so I come up here. First one I run into, opposite hypotenuse. Come down, I'm going to say the sine of the angle 35 is equal to the opposite, which we do not know, the y component of the force, over the hypotenuse, which is 150 newtons. And now go ahead and solve by multiplying both sides by 150 newtons. The y component of the force is equal to 86 and 400 newtons.